South African politics has once more been shaken to its core by scandal, this time with global repercussions. In a surprise and profoundly disturbing turn of events, reports have come to light that ANC big gun Mantashe has been detained by foreign authorities. While details continue to unfold, the news has taken the political class by storm, igniting outrage, bewilderment, and a blaze of speculation inside and outside South Africa. While South Africans have become increasingly desensitized to political theatrics over time, this latest event feels different. It is not common for a senior cabinet member, national chairperson and Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy to find himself involved in what seems to be an international legal issue. More troubling, however, is the complete silence from President Cyril Ramaphosa, whose radio silence has only served to heighten suspicion and heighten public concern. Early reports indicate that Mantashe was arrested by officials on foreign travel purportedly related to an ongoing corruption inquiry with cross-border dimensions. No charges have been made public, but sources place the detainment in relation to money laundering, transgressions of foreign lobbying laws or corrupt resource transactions operating over several jurisdictions. Should these charges be verified, they would constitute a historical watershed not only for the ANC but also for the overall reputation of South African leadership within the international community. The international community has raised an eyebrow for some time regarding the ANC's involvement with state capture and institutionalized corruption, but Mantashe's reported detainment would be the first significant foreign interference in the party's internal politics, and that alone is historic. To date, there has been no statement from South Africa's Department of International Relations and Cooperation or DIRCO. The presidency has also said nothing, and it is Ramaphosa's silence above all that has ignited the scandal. As president and leader of the ANC, one would have expected a swift response, a public reassurance of sorts, or at least a carefully crafted statement of acknowledgement of the situation. But rather than speak out, Ramaphosa has remained mum, provoking fierce criticism across the political divide. Is this silence part of a deliberate strategy to stall for time while scrambling behind the scenes? Or is it evidence of collapsing control at the top of the ANC? Whatever it is, many South Africans see it as weakness, indecision, or even complicity. Political observers believe that Ramaphosa is between a rock and a hard place. If he moves away from Mantashe, he may split the party and repel influential allies in the ANC elite. Mantashe is no ordinary minister, he is a veteran party stalwart with a lot of sway in the party's internal machinery within the ANC. The loss of his support may snap Ramaphosa's already weak coalition within the ruling party. But if Ramaphosa defends him, he risks losing what little moral credibility he has left in the eyes of the public, while also inviting backlash from international allies who demand accountability and transparency. Already, ANC sources are feeding stories of internal crisis. A few members are insisting on calling a special National Executive Committee meeting to deal with the backlash. Others are urging an independent inquiry or even suspending Mantashe from his government responsibilities on an interim basis until further notice. The inner splits are growing difficult to conceal, and the longer Ramaphosa remains quiet, the greater will be the pressure. Opposition parties, however, have not lost any time in grabbing the opportunity. The Democratic Alliance has criticized Ramaphosa for his inaction, calling for complete transparency and for clarity on Mantashe. The economic freedom fighters went a step further, stating that Ramaphosa's silence is evidence of rot at the top of the government. Civil society organizations, NGOs, and watchdog groups are mounting pressure too, calling for the president to finally break his silence and act with decisiveness before the crisis gets out of hand. It's interesting to add that this current scandal follows on from previous ANC controversies, ongoing concerns regarding Eskom contracts, mining deals involving politically connected individuals, and unresolved conclusions of the Zondo Commission on State Capture. Mantashe himself was once implicated in connection with the controversial Bosesa bribes, although he has denied any wrongdoing. But this recent affair is on the verge of opening everything wide up. Foreign involvement in a South African political scandal is extremely rare. But when it does happen, it usually signals that deep systemic issues are no longer being tolerated internationally. Should Mantashe's arrest have anything to do with the exploitation of resources like oil, gas or mineral interests with international corporations, then it might stimulate a domino effect of investigations not only within South Africa but in the United Kingdom, the United States, the European Union, and even Asia depending on the parties involved. The global implications are enormous. Trade relations can be unsettled. Confidence among investors can be eroded and South Africa's reputation on the international stage can be drastically damaged. Nations that have been willing to be patient with the political soap opera in South Africa can come to doubt the government's capacity to address corruption. That erosion of trust can affect anything from trade agreements to diplomatic alliances to aid and investment streams. And at the heart of it is Sir Ramaphosa, a leader who rode to the presidency on a wave of promises of reform, accountability, and a new dawn. Now his silence threatens to erase any progress he might claim to have made. If he continues to keep quiet, he might just be writing the last chapter of his presidency. If he goes with action, he may be able to rescue what remains of his reform agenda, but only if that action is authentic, courageous, and accompanied by actual accountability. The ANC itself is at a crossroads. Will it shield one of its own regardless of the international blowback? Or will it at last act resolutely to combat the corruption that has drained its integrity? South Africans have tired of commissions, investigations and perpetual vows of change. This scandal with all its global ramifications is like a breaking point. This is no longer simply about Gude Mantashe or even Sir Ramaphosa. This is about whether or not South Africa can recover its democratic aspirations or if it will continue to founder beneath its own political decay. The world is waiting. The people are clamoring for answers and the silence of the presidency cannot be sustained indefinitely. South Africa's political crisis has again moved into virgin territory and the next few days will decide if the ANC can ride out yet another tempest or if this time the tempest is just too big for it to survive. Thank you for watching. If this analysis was helpful, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next update. There's a lot more where this came from because the truth doesn't rest and neither do we.